Welcome back. Well, the death of Melbourne mum Swetha Madagani has now sparked a global search after her husband fled to India.
Her family claim he confessed to her alleged murder, but at this stage there's been no formal extradition order. Joining us to explain the nature of foreign arrest and extradition is author and foreign policy expert Dr. Kadira Pethiyagoda. Kadira, good morning. Thank you so much for making time for us. If this confession is legitimate, what comes next in this case?
So the Victorian police have not even yet confirmed that Mr. Varikupala is a suspect or whether they'd be seeking extradition, but they have said that they wish to speak to him. But I do think that the next stage will be likely an extradition request from Australian authorities. This is something that has been streamlined under the treaty between the two countries. But it still requires the Australian authorities to provide India with certain things like a warrant of arrest and, importantly, information that would reasonably establish that the suspect has committed the offence.
Yeah, Kadira, sorry, go on.
Yeah. Now, this shouldn't be difficult for them to obtain because they do have the body. They have the fact that he left the country straight after his wife's death based on evidence of the time of death and flight records. They have the witnesses to an alleged confession, though these witnesses are in India. But we recently heard that the father of the victim had apparently said that the suspect had called Victorian police in his presence to confess.
Sure. I mean, this is the thing, Kadira. There's so much. We understand the complexities around something like this, right? But Victoria Police has remained so tight-lipped about it. What we're hearing is coming from the family of this alleged victim, and it's just awful. It's harrowing. I mean, they're heartbroken. And when you think about the fact that there has been, an alleged confession, and that they perhaps know that he's overseas, why aren't they acting faster? Why aren't they closing in on this man? Why is it taking so long for any action?
Yeah, well, I think the Victorian police and the Australian authorities more broadly are being very careful. But I would argue that it's probably wise for them to be careful because what happens is once they submit their extradition request, it has to go through a process in the Indian courts. So firstly, the Indian government, if it thinks it's fitting, orders a magistrate to inquire into the case. The magistrate then issues an arrest warrant. The Indian police then locate and arrest the suspect. And then the magistrate runs an inquiry into whether they should grant that request. And then the Indian government, again, looks at that report from the magistrate and decides. And all of this can be sort of stymied if they feel that there's a bias in potential proceedings in Australia. You had cases like Puneet, who has been fighting his extradition for 10 years. And one of the things he claims is that he would be subject to biased prosecution in Australia.
There's a lot to take in there and it sounds very complicated, Kadira. How long is that likely to take, though?
Yeah, so, I mean, it's really hard to predict. It could take over a decade, given the given the wild cards like locating the suspect, the vastness of India. You've got, so many different states with different governments. It's a federal country. It took 4 years to find the suspect, Rajwinder Singh and Puneet. And then, as I said, the court process as well after that.
All right, Kadira, thanks so much for being with us this morning.
Yeah, appreciate that insight. Well, ahead on today, a Gold Coast crash caught on camera.